Hello, good afternoon, everyone. This is July 14th. It's about noon Eastern Time, and I'm here to do an update on Ethereum. I don't do altcoins very often, but they're becoming more and more popular here recently. So I figured it would probably be wise to go ahead and give a little bit of an opinion on what this looks like, what the charts are kind of going through, and yeah, just to kind of figure out where things are going. I think that we're correcting the larger move. I think the larger move is done, and the question is, how long it's going to take for this correction to occur, if there's going to be a correction at all, or maybe we're done. Maybe we're done correcting. So before I get into any of this, of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, doing your own research, and I'm just giving my opinion on the market. So let's take a look at the chart. All right, so I'm on an hourly chart. I'm going to get rid of the indicators down here. I'm on an hourly chart. I'm going to move to, say, a 3-hour, just to kind of condense things a little bit, so we can see things with a little more clarity. The interesting thing about Ethereum is we didn't quite get near the high that we had previously, whereas Bitcoin did get up there. So, we're all talking about altcoins, we're talking about all of that, but at the same time, you know, Ethereum in particular didn't quite get up there, whereas Bitcoin did. So altcoins were kind of bleeding throughout this cycle, not going up as fast as Bitcoin did. Okay. So, from the bottom, and I'm just going to kind of talk through this here just real quick and just see if we can, get a decent resolution to this. I'm not super happy with the way it looks, but this could definitely be a leading diagonal of itself. So, I see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to complete this. Even this last wave, you can see a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an extension into the fifth. We see a good correction here into the 2. We can pull out 5 waves in this as well. So we've got that as well here to complete this 3. We have a nice A, B, C correction into the 4. And then we have a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the 1, A, B, C into the 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the 3, 4, and then we have a truncated 5th. We would have expected this to go a little bit higher, but we had sellers kicking in that didn't allow that acceleration or that thrust, that final thrust to occur. We're talking about like a blow off top. We didn't really have a whole lot of volume here. Let me just get rid of that over there so we can see this with a little more clarity. We didn't have a whole lot of volume here, so I wouldn't necessarily call this a blow off top. We had more volume in this candle here than we did up here. So if, from a distribution standpoint, I would say that that likely is already complete. And if you take a look at this candle here, we had a nice big wick all the way down here to about 214, 215. Let me see if I can just put my cursor on that. It came down to 215. It came down to 215, and if we take a look at this little guy right here, the 236, let me just throw the prices on here. The 236, and let's take the labels over to the right so we can see it. The 236 was at $214.16. And what I'm taking here, I'm taking this from the very bottom, and let me see if I can just get this perfect here. And we'll pull this all the way down to right there. So we've got basically $214.18, and we went down, what did I say, to about 215. So, we came basically down to the 236. Ideally, on a second wave, this would come down to, at least the 50 or the 618. The 50 is probably lingering somewhere around like 170. 618 is down here at 150, but we're finding lots of support up here. So, I'm tempted to say that this is not distribution. This is a reaccumulation that is occurring here. We're bouncing back and forth between the 236, the 23.6% retrace, and, our top here, which is basically around 250. Right, so we're seeing some heavy buying here at about 220, selling at about 250, and just like on Bitcoin, we're seeing continued lower highs and continued higher lows. So as we continue to see that, of course we're compressing, and especially if I go to say a daily time frame, we're talking about this on Bitcoin as well. We had some compression. and we did see a little bit of relief. We pushed up above the 20 exponential, or sorry, the 20 simple moving average. Okay, so we were talking about that yesterday. This the median of a Bollinger Band. As long as you're using the industry standard settings, that is going to be your 20 simple moving average. We were suppressed by it, right? So we were suppressed by it, and then we broke up above. So you can see here we had a kind of a failed breakout. We came back down below. We tested the bottom of the Bollinger Band. Then we came back here. We were testing, and now we're consistently trading above this. And another thing that I'll point out here, looking at the daily, right? So looking at the daily, let me just move myself back here and see how far back this makes sense. From resistance, I would say that we've got about 243 as our resistance that we need to pay attention to. We'll just take it from about right here. This guy right there. You can see we've got candles that are closing below this. We have candles that are closing above it for support. Didn't stay up there for very long, so then we had a nice long wick, and then we had more resistance here. We had that failed breakout, and so now we're still trading below that. And as far as support goes, I would say that this level right here at about $239 is also pretty important. But more so, the more important level to pay attention to is going to be this guy right here at about 230, 237, 238. So you can take that all the way back over here, even where you have our support wicks down here. We also have some resistance up here. We have a failed breakout, and then of course when we closed below that, we had our big fall, and that was on March 8th. That's when it kind of started. So right now we are in a very, very tight range. And if I go to maybe a 4-hour time frame, we should be able to see just, I mean, this is really defining it. Our bands here on the 4-hour chart are really pretty clear that this is the range that we're in. Again, using these levels from the daily, knowing that these are important levels of support for us. If we start closing 4-hour candles below 230, we'll call it below 238 or 237.50, that's probably a sign that we're probably going to come back down here to maybe 230. Maybe even a little bit lower. What I like to do, I always like to look left to see where these support and resistance levels are, because typically they hold pretty strong. So if I'm taking a look at this, I'm saying that probably more than likely 230 is going to be the next support level if we break down below this. Something that I will point out is that we've got something like this going on here, which is generally pretty bearish. So we've got that going on there, while at the same time we've got this level of support going on over here. And if I want to exclude the wicks, I can bring this down just a little bit further. So this is not looking very good. So likely how this tends to play out, we've got a nice little A, B working on the C, and then if we break down below that, we do a retest and then we fall down. And right here, when I say a retest, what usually ends up happening is we're going to say break down, we have an immediate retest, and then it continues down. Usually you don't get many chances to play that retest. Sometimes you do, but on a breakout trade it happens very quickly. So you have to kind of be ready for it, and you have to be willing to take the risk as well. That's something to something to point out. Because once things break down, you're kind of expecting for it to bounce. So people are usually afraid to sell that retest. But you kind of have to be willing to take that risk if you're wanting to make money in the market. Okay. Also, let's just take a look real quick and see if there is any technical support behind this move. We broke up above the 618. We almost got to the 786. We didn't quite get there. So, I'm not ready to say that this is, this is going to make its way down to 231. 231 would be the technical target, just for the record. If this is, we've got 5, A, B, C, and then we're working on 5 waves down. Our technical target to the downside is about 231. And that would make a whole lot of sense, again, looking left, right? Looking left. And just based off of that level alone, it's defining this right here. Okay, this level right here where we've got resistance, resistance, resistance. We break through, it's support. we have a failed breakthrough, and then we have support some more, and then we do break down, we can consolidate below it, and then we break down. When we get back to it, it is resistance. We tried to get back up again, it's resistance, it was sold off a bit, but then eventually it did break up above there. And then of course we have our upper range that we were discussing before. So, we're currently trading above the median of this range. So by this range, let's just go ahead and outline this here real quick, and I'll put this on here for you guys to see. We're talking about this upper right up here, taking ourselves down here to our target, down to the downside. We've got basically the median of this range is our critical support. It's pretty clear. It's about 237, 237.50. That's our clear support that we need to hold. And if we break down, then we're going to go to the bottom of the range, which is at $231 or so. So more than likely, I think that's probably what's going to happen. Let's just go ahead and take a look at this. I'm going to go ahead and clear off everything. We've already talked about all of those. So let me go to a weekly time frame. Let's take a look at Ethereum on the weekly. I'm going to go to Ethereum against Coinbase because there's going to be more data on Coinbase. I'm going to stay on the log scale. I kind of want to keep that on there, but maybe I'm going to take a look at Ethereum versus the US dollar on a different exchange, and that's okay. There's not a whole lot of history there. I suppose, yeah, even if I went to maybe Bitfinex. Yeah, Bitfinex has more. Yeah, this looks okay. So let's take a look at this. This goes all the way back to 2016. Just taking a look at this spike down here to this spike up, I just want to take a look at this and see if there is any technical move or a technical reason behind that support there that went down to the 50, and we've had support at the 50 again. But again, we were talking about this on, on other videos about Bitcoin, but we start up here, and what do we have here? We have our, let me get this right. Okay, so here we've got resistance. All right, we're just going to outline these here real quick, and then we pull ourselves down, and then we've got more resistance up here. So let me just go ahead and attach that right to the top of this wick. Because again, even with this, we're continuing to get lower high after lower high after lower high. So let's put this down here as well. And we'll go ahead and make it a little bit smaller. Pull this guy right there to that wick. I would argue that that is probably more important resistance right now. Even though we do have this little guy down here to pay attention to, I would say that this is a pretty interesting resistance if we do happen to break through this. I'm not saying that we're ready to do that yet, but I would also argue that I do have a little bit of a bias that we're going to move down. I don't know if we're going to go to $47. It seems pretty low right now, especially with the way the alts are looking right now. Alts are looking pretty good, so it's probably unlikely that we come back down to 50 bucks. Probably more likely that we move higher, but again, looking at this at a weekly time frame, I would say that this level right here, moving our way over to the left, we can see this, and I'm going to move this down just a little bit, not much. You can see obviously back here in 2017, this was originally some resistance. It turned into support, and we confirmed that again. We had some clustering down here. We broke up above it, and we broke down below it. We're currently trading above it. So this level right here, which is at about $210, right? So I'm saying that it's possible we go down to $50, but I'm not saying that that is what's going to happen. What I will say is if we start breaking some of these support levels, this one is pretty important right now, just based off of the history. If we do break down below $210, and especially if we break down below $200, I would say that becomes more likely that that happens. For now, I'm going to go ahead and continue to keep a bullish bias on alts. Especially, taking this off here, this looks really bad, right? Obviously, this looks really bad. But it just goes to show that, we've got a lot of resistance to chew through. And this resistance right here is right in line with all of this over here to the left. So this is the level of resistance I think is the most important. So taking this off of a log scale onto a linear scale, resistance, resistance, support. We really only tested that once. We flew through it. We retested that one time. When we came back to it, we flew through it. And then when we came back to it, it was resistance. So I would say this is more resistance than it is support. So if we break through that, we're probably going to end up flying through it. If I turn on my volume profile, that is going to likely be not any significant level. So you can see very low volume in this particular area. The volume that we have on Ethereum, the point of control right now is at $10, right? Because of all of this that happened in 2016 and 2017. But if we take that out of visible view, then our point of control becomes $133. Not a lot of volume up here. This was a bubble, a low volume bubble that popped, right? It is what it is. I bet if you looked at Tesla's chart, it would probably show something very similar. Not a lot of volume up in the bubble, lots of volume down below. So we are clustering here. We're continuing to cluster. I would say more than likely we're probably going to retest this 360 level. But I think it's also equal odds that we are going to come down and likely retest that $47 to $50 level. But these support ranges have to break first. They have to break first because as of right now, things look very bullish. So if we break down here to break down below, let's just say we break down below 200, nice, keep it nice and even, probably we're going to come back down here and test this $50 level. I would say that's probably going to be likely what happens if we break down below 200. If we take out this resistance, which, obviously this one right here, 285 is important, but, we can see that there is a little bit of a resistance cluster that is forming right up here. Okay, so this is the level to the upside that we need to break on a weekly time frame. That's at about 245, 246. If we break up above that, that's even better for the bull case that we're going to go up to 360. All right, so breaking up there, very likely, very likely. What I'd like to see is I'd like to see a nice move up, a nice test, come up here, kind of consolidate there for a little bit, and then break up to hit that $360 target. That's kind of where I'm looking at. But again, we're in a range that I wouldn't consider trading right now, just because we have low volatility. So this thing could rip in a direction at any point in time. And honestly, the bias is down, even though alts look bullish. Alts probably will not get hurt as much as Bitcoin will. If Bitcoin does decide to go down, alts are probably going to hold strong. They'll probably appreciate in the BTC value because of that. So I'm not going to be in a rush to get into any kind of a trade here. I'm just going to wait and see what happens when the volatility does decide to move. Bullish on alts, bearish on Bitcoin. Which means you're probably better off just sitting in cash for the time being until we see some kind of a directional, breakout on Bitcoin. Because if Bitcoin breaks down, alts are probably going to lose their USD value over time. But if Bitcoin breaks up, then I think it's a great opportunity to buy some alts that haven't pumped, like Tron or some others. Ethereum is just, I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure on Ethereum right now. The daily's crossing down, so the daily looks bad. Daily crossed down yesterday. Yesterday we had a confirmation on a bearish cross on the daily, and that's not something that I like to see. So I'm being very cautious right now. The 12-hour is also pointing down on Ethereum. If I move down here to the 12-hour, you can see that the 12-hour is pointing down right now. The 12-hour is pointing down on Ethereum. The daily is crossing down on Ethereum. The only glimmer of hope that you've got on this right now is the 3-day time frame. If you take a look at the 3-day time frame, it's really, really quite interesting. On the 3-day, we have a bullish cross. So I don't know if you can see this, but the green indicator is always aligned with the current time frame that you're on. So if you're on an hourly, the green is the hourly. If you're on a daily, the green is the daily. If you're on a weekly, the green is the weekly. I'm on a 3-day time frame. In the 3-day, we have a bullish cross. And the 3-day on Bitcoin also is crossing bullish. It's working on crossing bullish, which again, there is 2 days and 8 hours left on this 3 days. So we just opened up the 3-day block yesterday. So it's going to take time. But look at the compression on the 3-day. We're compressing on the 3-day. So that's also something that's really quite interesting. So this also kind of goes back down this 232 level on the 3-day time frame. That's where the 20 simple moving average is, and we're finding support there as well. So, again, all in all, I would say that we've got some levels to the upside and to the downside to keep track of. Downside, watch that 220 level. To the upside, watch that this level up here at about 246, 250. If we break up above that, then I think we're going to see a continuation. If we break down, I think we're going to see a continuation to the downside. So we're in a real tight range. We need to see some decision. Until then, I wouldn't put any real hefty amount of money on anything. I would just mainly just sit back and wait for a clear direction of where things are going to go. If you missed out, right? So if you missed out on this big move to the upside, or you missed out on this big move to the downside, just wait. Don't get caught. Don't get caught in a trade, and just wait for things to become a little more clear. All right. Well, again, I'm going to go ahead and end it right now. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask them in the Discord. I'll do my best to answer your questions. And, if you'd like to be part of our Discord, just throw in a comment in the YouTube chat, and I'll be more than happy to get an invite code out to you. And wherever you're on the world, I hope you're having a good day, good night, good evening. Stay happy, stay healthy, and take care.